Hey guys, so I just wanted to make a quick weekly update on how Bitcoin and everything is going along. Now, I have not made an update since sometime around back here when I was saying that we needed to get back above the weekly 50 TMA after closing underneath it. Now, what happened was we obviously closed above it, and the rest is history. Now, this time, despite all the absolute massive fear in this correction here, we have not even touched the weekly TMA, let alone closed below it. So what can actually happen in this bull market? We can get a weekly close underneath the TMA, but the next week has to close back above it, or we can just have a really long wick down and then close above it in that same week. Now, as you saw in the previous bull market, we had a single close beneath it, big fear event, and then we obviously pumped right out of it. Same thing out of here. That happened here. So pretty much market structure can still be intact, even if we see a wick down to the high $60,000 range. Or we could close a week underneath potentially $74,000 and then have 2 or 3 green weeks that'll pump us right back out of it. Now, as you can see, we have just rejected off of this trend line right now, and the BX trender is, not the BX trender, sorry, the market bias is turning red. So the last time that we had a shift into red, we saw a correction that went from the 5th of August all the way through to the 7th of October, so a full 2 months before we got that pump that everyone's been waiting for. And the time before that, when we turned red on the 28th of August, we did not see a sizable pump until the 16th of October, which is also just under 2 months. Now, same thing happened in the last cycle. BX trend market bias, not BX trender, 31st of May, all the way through to the 2nd of August. So again, just a little over 2 months. Now, this correction right now, if we use our data analysis tool, if I can actually find it, is currently at around 9 weeks. Now, if we add another eight or so weeks into that, that will only be a 17-week correction, which would still be significantly shorter than the correction that we saw in 2024, and also shorter than the one that we saw in 2023. Now, depending on how you want to draw this correction, you could argue that 17 weeks is going to be longer or shorter, but I pretty much think that this entire period through here was nothingness, and that was 31 weeks. So we're pretty much only 8 weeks into this correction, and even if you want to draw it from our first major top, we would only be 14 weeks into that correction, whilst this correction in 2024 was a full 30 plus weeks, 31 to 34, depending on how you want to draw that. So am I worried? Absolutely not. Is buying around these ranges a better idea than buying all the way up here? For sure. Should we still have a plan in case Bitcoin comes down to test the weekly TMA around 74,000 or even wicks below it into say 67,000? Absolutely. Always have a plan. Now, quick look at Ethereum, which is looking a lot less healthy than Bitcoin. As you can see, we have had a much bigger correction. It's like 50%, whilst Bitcoin here has corrected like what, 30%? I should probably actually measure that. Yeah, so Bitcoin's had a 28% correction, whilst Ethereum here has had, I'm not even going to measure that. That's pretty much over 50%. Actually, no, I'm going to measure that. There we go, 57%. Now, Ethereum has dropped below this major level that I totally did not steal off of Michael here from his videos, which you absolutely should go check out because I've stolen pretty much all my trend lines from his videos And the market bias indicator here is from Traders Helping Traders, from Peter DiCarlo. His videos are still free at the moment, so I would highly recommend checking them out before he obviously makes them paid. So obviously Ethereum is absolutely not looking great. It's below these trend lines, and in fact, I actually think the cycle top could potentially be in for Ethereum based on this obviously massive triple top structure, whilst Bitcoin has only made a double top. So we could still make even a move from here up to say a sort of triple top at say $112,000 would still net you a 30 something percent move. Someone check my maths on that. But Ethereum here, as you can see previously, when the market bias turns red, it tends to make a lower high rather than a higher high, like what Bitcoin did back here in 2021. So with this in mind, where could we expect this lower high to be? Well, last cycle, we poked just above the weekly market bias, which if we did the same this cycle, would bring us to around $3,100 or even $3,200. Now, as you can see, that market bias lined up perfectly with the 50 TMA, which is currently at $2,900. So is it still a potential good trade? For sure. If you can get a good entry here, that is still a 50% move up over potentially as little as 3 weeks and potentially as much as 2 months. Obviously, cycles don't have to play to the teeth, but that is something keeping in mind. Quick look at Solana. Again, I have stolen these levels off of Michael because why not? We're just going to turn on our market bias indicator. And as you can see, Solana, fairly similar story. We unfortunately do not have enough data to see the last cycle, but if we look at the previous correction, when the market bias turned red on the 26th of August, we didn't see a breakout until the 14th of October, which is just under 2 months. Now, if we extrapolate that again from the 17th of February, 2 months would take us to about the second week of April, which is not very far from where we are now. It is the 24th of March. So could Solana potentially be readying itself up for an 86% move from here, or wherever the price is going to be in the middle of April? Now, unfortunately, we do not have data from the previous cycle, so even if we do put in, oh, that move is actually going to be right there. So around $250, $260, which would bring us right back up to this resistance cluster from the previous cycle and from earlier this cycle. Now, whether we take out that absolutely massive blow-off wick is obviously a question in its own, but as you can see, an 85% move is absolutely still tradable if you get in now and put your stops underneath here. But obviously, you're just going to have to weigh up the risk versus reward for yourself. Quick look at XRP. XRP is actually looking the healthiest of all our large cap altcoins. Now, I'm just going to turn off this quickly. As you can see, with XRP, when the market bias turns red, that is not a great sign. We've obviously got heaps of data to work with for XRP. So when you see an absolutely explosive move, you really do not want to see the market bias turn red, because after that, it's just complacency bounce after complacency bounce, except for last cycle, where the market bias turned red for approximately 1 month. And we saw one more massive move. That is a 2x move there, or potentially more, depending on where you get in. It could be nearly a 3x. So if we think about it here, XRP could obviously just continue up. Like, one could argue that we are somewhere here, and XRP still has a absolutely massive move to come to, say, $10, $20, $30, all those crazy price targets you see on X. Or you could argue that XRP is somewhere here, where, or here, where XRP could dump a little bit more, have a pump, people can get out for break even or a slight profit, and that's it for the cycle. Now, obviously, I'm going to wait and see what happens, because XRP still has this massive resistance up here at around $3.30 from our basically major double top. So a pump up to there from here, say if Bitcoin starts moving soon, would still be a... I really cannot maths today, so I'm just going to measure everything so I don't look like an idiot. 36% move. It's definitely not as massive as the potential for Solana and Ethereum, which could mean that either XRP has done pumping for this cycle, and we're somewhere here or here, or we're only here and it's got an even bigger move to come because it hasn't corrected as much as Solana or Ethereum. Now, obviously, it's just a game of probabilities, but for me, the weekly stochastic RSI is bottomed. However, this indicator down here, the BX trender, which is another of the indicators that Peter DiCarlo talks about in his courses over there, is still making lower lows. Now, you ideally want to see it make a higher low, which is what happened on the 4th of November, before a major breakout. Now, obviously, you can go and backtest it yourself. All these indicators here are free, except for the TIA Gann swing indicator, which you can go over to Michael's video and find it in his description. But basically, as you can see, we could be anywhere in this phase here. So you might get a false signal where you might get out for a small profit or a break even, or you might get a real signal where you get an absolutely massive pump. So for me, I am currently still neutral. I'm starting to build a position. However, I will look to get out if the market bias turns red, and I will potentially enter a leveraged position to the long side if we can see some higher lows on the BX trender. Now, if we have a look at Solana, same story, BX trender is making lower lows. So again, I'll potentially be waiting for a higher low on the weekly BX trender, but also take note that stochastic RSI is massively oversold. Same here with Bitcoin. BX trender is still making lower lows, but the weekly stochastic RSI has actually crossed bullish. So I'm very interested to see what happens up here at this trend line. Are we going to flip it as support? Or do we still need and head off to the races? Or are we going to do what we've always done in the past and have another 1 to 2 month consolidation? Only time will tell. Quick look at the Gann swing indicator before I wrap up this video. We are down on the 1 week 1 bar for Bitcoin and Ethereum. However, we are neutral for Solana and neutral for XRP. Now, there is no green to be found on Ethereum or Bitcoin, nor Solana, but we are up on the 1 week 2 bar chart for XRP, which leads me to believe that either we have pumped so much that the indicators have not had time to catch up, these lagging indicators, especially the market bias and the BX trender. The Gann swing indicator doesn't lag as much on the weekly time frame, but obviously to turn it down, you would have to break some significant lows, which has happened on Solana and Ethereum, not so much on Bitcoin, and absolutely not on XRP. So I am still in the camp that XRP has not had a blow-off move yet, because we have not reversed as extreme as we did in 2018, nor 2021. Like, we are still consolidating up here. So people are still interested in buying this, which really, really leads me to believe that if we take it, because I'm using a linear scale, if we have a look here, I firmly believe that we are somewhere here. However, I could always be wrong, but who knows? Time will tell whether we'll see XRP at $10 or $20 in the future. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and that is my quick half-yearly update on Bitcoin. I'll try to make more videos. Goodbye.